covering it. It's a summit that's going to take place for the next 4 days.
Thank you, America First! Thank you, Stop the Steal!
With my sister Elizabeth Etchinson, we are at the turning point.
Shlama, shalom, and salam to one and all. We hope that everyone is doing well. As for those of you that are coming back to our program, you know that we greet you weekly with these 3 Semitic words that all mean peace. Peace in the language of Assyrian, Hebrew, and Arabic. And but it's unfortunate today that we come to you with a very heavy heart. We are far from having peace today as we come to you live from Rumble, from Facebook Live, and for the first time, we are happy to report that we are broadcasting live on X, formerly known as Twitter, as we continue our second day of coverage of the Israeli-Hamas war that has taken the attention and, of course, broken the hearts of everyone. Before we begin, we ask you to please kindly support our grassroots independent program by following us, subscribing, sharing, and of course, as you are watching today, if you can share our program and invite your friends to come into the program. We have a very exciting program here today as we report on all that is going on, as we started this program with the 3 Semitic words for peace. These 3 nations closely related through the Abrahamic faith, the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, and the Muslim faith, today unfortunately stand more divided and at war throughout the Middle East and other parts of the world. The latest being the escalation, as everyone is witnessing in horror, of the deadliest of course, the long Israeli-Palestinian conflict that has now resulted in one of the bloodiest massacres, causing death, destruction, displacement, and mass humanitarian crisis against thousands of Israelis and Palestinians alike in the Israeli-Gaza border, as the world watches in an all-out war for the past 7 straight days between Israel and Hamas. Notice I didn't say Palestine. Israel and Hamas, who has taken hostage and taken the people of Palestine hostage and caused this destruction upon not only their own people, but of Israel, and of course has thrown chaos into the world. Causing one of the most horrific humanitarian crises, as we said, to their own people, the Palestinians, that are being forced to flee to the south as Israel has every right to defend itself. Tonight, we have a very special guest from Israel, live, and we want to thank him for being here. A man that I've been very excited, very anxious to meet. I wish we were meeting under different circumstances, but as circumstances demanded that we speak to him, however it is today, I am very honored, I am very privileged, I am very happy to meet and to introduce Dr. Yaacov Maoz. Shlama, Dr. Shalom, Welcome to the program, Professor Maoz. Ya Nashdiden.
Shlama, Shabbat Shalom from the holy city of Jerusalem. We used to greet Shabbat Shalom, which means Shabta Shlama.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yes, and it's a great pleasure to talk to you in this platform.
Well, thank you so much for agreeing. I know it's 6 a.m. By you, and I know you and I have been communicating to try to set this up, and I do want to thank you. I know you're a very busy man. And of course, we are happy that you are with us. And I just wanted to give people a little bit of your background. Dr. Maoz is the chair of Lishana Aramit Renewal in Israel. He's an ambassador of goodwill of Assyria in Israel. We will go into this phenomenon of how you recognize yourself as a Jewish Assyrian. I know Assyrians and Jews are scattered all over the world, but this combination is a phenomenon to me. We're going to talk deep about it. But before we go into that history, and we are going to dissect, we are going to unpack, and we're going to speak about how that has happened. First and foremost, Dr. Maoz, how are you within this deadly war between Israel and Hamas, the terrorist group Hamas that has unleashed upon Israel, and of course on all the allies that stand with Israel, that has claimed thousands of lives on both sides, while it's only been 7 days. Tell us about how you're doing within this conflict.
I would start by clarification that this Nazi Hamas terror organization is a Palestinian production. We can't disconnect between the Palestinians and Hamas. If you like to know how many Palestinians are supporting this Nazis group, you should ask the Palestinian how many of them support Hamas. So as far as I know, the majority of the Palestinian supports Hamas and even supports the deadly and the criminal deed that he have done just recently. So the conflict is between Israel and Palestine, unfortunately. Okay? Now, we have made some steps forward in order to create a sort of peace with the Palestinian. Now we got back maybe 50 years back in this case. The Israelis are frightened from the Palestinian now. Okay? We are scared. People can't sleep by night. Okay? We don't post these terrible footages, but you know what's happened there? And we can see it every day. Every day we are revealing what they have done, beheading babies, raping girls, burning up families. And then they are glorifying their deeds, and they are taking photos and uploading this in the social media. Look, we have a great problem with the Palestinian. So we can't disconnect Palestine, Hamas, criminal, ISIS, Nazis. This is my view. I'm sorry to tell you that because I'm a man of peace. All my life I'm trying to contribute to peace. But if you like to disconnect between Hamas and Palestine, you should ask the Palestinian. And unfortunately, the response will be negative. The majority of the Palestinians support Hamas.
Okay.
Full stop.
And I can understand, of course, I really want you to answer how you are doing in, I know that you had to answer that, and I appreciate your position, and I can understand that fully. And I can see, as we were speaking to Lieutenant Colonel Sergei Sengari yesterday, a U.S. Army colonel, who said that the Palestinians voted Hamas in. So Hamas, in a way, is a government, and I can see why you can say that to be as a fact, because of the fact we cannot. And as an Iraqi that, of course, reported and lived through ISIS. Of course, I had escaped as a child from Iraq, but nevertheless, seeing Iraq invaded Mosul, the Nineveh Plains, the empire of Assyria at one time, invaded by ISIS. And yet we saw that the people, the government, condemned ISIS and their terroristic act. But I can see where you just corrected me, in the sense where you can say that Hamas is related to Palestinians because they chose them by force or otherwise, but nevertheless, they were the government in Gaza. And so I understand completely your point of view.
Yes, you can ask the Palestinian in United States whether they support Hamas or not. And you can find immediately the answer. They support. How can I know? Because they are demonstrating against Israel permanently.
Yes.
Now, those days. And never, there is no a single Palestinian that issued any comment on behalf of Israel that can show a kind of understanding the situation of Israel. No one.
Yes.
So,
Now let me ask
this is
you. Let me ask you the difference, and I know that Hamas won the official government that is running Gaza. What about the West Bank? What is the difference? Is there better relations between the West Bank and Israel, or is it still backing up Hamas?
Well, the good news is that we have a kind of relations with the Palestinian Authority at the West Bank. But Hamas is gaining power more and more from day to day in the West Bank. So unless the Israeli Defense Forces, the Palestinian Authority will fail in a minute. They have no power to stand against the Nazi terrorist group of Hamas. So we are defending the Palestinian Authority. This is the good news. The bad news that we have some clashes with the Palestinian in the West Bank as well, because the Palestinian Authority has another terrorist group that's called Fatah. And Fatah act against Israel. So it's a kind of love and hate relations. It's not the best situation that we were wished.
Yeah, and really, I mean, if the Palestinians want to blame anyone, it's right there in their face. Hamas terrorist group, I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm comparing it to ISIS, and I know that yesterday we showed a picture of when they lift one of the towns in Israel. There was an ISIS flag left behind, basically meaning
Sure.
we are one and the same, because they are taking notes from one another. And so when you are relating them both, and the difference I was trying to make is that even though there is still corruption in the government of Iraq today, but it stood and officially made a condemnation message to say that ISIS does not represent Iraqis, and it didn't represent anyone because they destroyed peace in north of Iraq. But Hamas today, as you said, is still being supported, endorsed, and as with the leader that came out as of today, Friday the 13th, waging war and waging demonstrations, telling everyone. And there was demonstrations in a lot of the Arab countries. There was a demonstration, I believe, in Egypt. Jordan completely was saying, "We are Hamas." I heard and I know that on Twitter people were saying, "Let Israel fight with that." How can we back up a terrorist group that can cause, like you're saying, is equivalent to ISIS? What kind of sympathy can the Palestinians garner if they haven't already lost all of the compassion and the support that they had already worked for so many years? How can anyone back them up now?
Yes, but we should widen the discussion, not only the Israel vis-a-vis Palestine, but Israel vis-a-vis the Arab world. Well, again, the good news that we have some peace agreements with some Arab states, but the majority of the Arabs in the Middle East hate Israel. The majority support Hamas. The majority like us to disappear. You know, they are always claiming, get back to your countries where you come from. So I need to get back to Assyria. It's impossible
And
because in
yeah, I want to get back to Assyria too, but here we are, and I love America, my beloved America that has taken so many Assyrians in, and I'm sure, thank God for Israel, our sister, as you said, we are twin sisters, siblings that took you at the time, and we're going to dive deep into talk about how you went back to Israel, how your mother and father went back to Israel. But nevertheless, we want to thank all of the countries that have taken us in as refugees as we are escaping these terrorist organizations, escaping terrorist laws, and escaping terrorists altogether. And it is surprising that we are seeing so
but
much support for a terrorist group like Hamas.
but these terrorist groups will persecute you even in America because they are gaining power, because they're automatic support of the whole Muslims in the world. Now let me explain you something. Why do we are frightened in what's going on with Hamas and with the whole Arab world? In the land of Israel, between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, we have only 7 million Jews. And then we have about 9 million Palestinians. Some of them are citizens of Israel. So we are a minority in our country. Then you have the 22 Arab countries that contain about 500 million Arabs. And then we have the Muslim, the Islamic world that contain 2 billions. So what could 7 million Jewish Israelis do against 2 billions? We are a minority. We are being persecuted always. The fact that we have some power to resist, this is the only thing that can save us from the Islamic world. And I would like the Western world at least should recognize this fact that we must preserve ourselves, unfortunately, only by wars. The peace agreements that we have with Egypt, with Jordan, are very fragile. it could be in a minute changed. Okay? And we have experienced it. By the time that the Islamic brothers, how do you say, Lakhwan, changed the regime in Egypt by the time of the Arab Spring, so-called. Okay? So it could change in a minute. So I am personally, I'm eager to have peace agreements with the Arab states, but I'm always being suspected on them. I don't trust them. We should trust only on our power and in the American power. And I should, I'm not American citizen like you, but every morning I'm blessing America. God bless America. Every morning. And we owe a huge oath to America. We are depending on America, and we should appreciate it, and we should thank America every day. Okay?
Absolutely. And this is why we call ourselves patriots, because if not for America, because it's not just a matter of being country called America, it is an ideology. It is a way of life. It is liberty. It is God himself has liberated us. We are in freedom. Where there is no God, there is hell. And so the rights that we are endowed, that we are blessed with here in America, allows us the freedom. As a Middle Eastern woman, as a Christian woman, we survived genocides. We survived the autocratic governments. We survived and survived and survived. And you know the Assyrian history better than I do. And if not, more than I do. And we come to America and we finally find we have a voice. We have an identity. We have human rights that we didn't even think, and we are still reluctant. You just mentioned something very, very profound, Professor. You said the Israelis are afraid of the Palestinian. And here you have, next to America, Israel being one of the most powerful, feared countries, surrounded by enemies. And yet you said, Israelis are afraid. And this is how we felt after we survived, the survivors of those governments that oppressed us. We came to America having a voice, but did not use it. Having the rights, but did not use it, did not practice our rights. Having the ability to live in freedom and the human rights, but did not enjoy it because our enemies still lurk. As you said, they could have followed us. Today, our borders in America are open. America has open borders. We are also in America, as patriots, as Americans, afraid that something what just happened in Israel can happen in America. True?
Right. Look what's happened in September 11. Okay? So we need to persecute the terrorists in their countries. And that's what Israel is doing now in the Gaza Strip. We need to persecute them. And the poor Palestinians in Gaza Strip are paying the cost. But it's not in our hand. We must persecute them. If not, they will persecute us, as what's happening the last Saturday. Okay, and now we should admit that we are in a seep of regional war. Now we have some clashes in Lebanon. Hezbollah is threatening us daily, firing rockets on northern border of Israel. And we all know who Hezbollah belonged to Iran. So that's why America back up Israel immediately and send some military forces to defend us, because we are on a sip of a regional war, and
Yeah.
it would affect the whole world. So we have the whole humanity has the interest to prevent this war.
Yeah. Do you think this is a global reset that we keep hearing about? This is being pushed to reset the global
Yeah.
powers.
Yes, but I wouldn't speak in such terms like global reset, because it's sound like the end of the days, and we need to reset the relations. But I don't want to be a prophet.
How does, I guess you answered my question of how you are doing. So I guess fear would be one way to describe how you're doing around. Casualties. Tell us, I know that the other day you and I were communicating and you said you thought one Jewish Assyrian soldier, maybe second generation or third generation from Assyria, as you call the Assyrian Empire, you still refer to it as the Assyrian, had died. But today you shared that there might be more that might have died. Of course, there were so many soldiers that perished in the line of duty, but what can you tell us about casualties that you know of?
Look, we have about 500,000 descendants of the Assyrian Jews. So probably we have some casualties from them. Now, we have a village on the border of Gaza called Mivtachim, that all its population is Assyrian Jews. So I know at least one being assassinated by the Hamas when they invaded to Israel in last Shabbat.
Wow.
And they invaded this Assyrian Jews village. But I let you know later. I'm going to collect the names. It will take time, because we are still trying to identify the bodies, because they burn them up right after they assassinate them. Okay?
Wow.
So we're in a great problem, and I must thank other nations that helps us to identify the casualties. So therefore, we have no full information 1 week after the trauma. We have no full information about the individuals. Who are they?
Yeah. How does, Professor, I don't know if maybe it's too soon because we're still within the conflict, but I saw a change in Prime Minister Netanyahu when he came out and said, we are at war. There was, you'd think that you'd seen a ghost. He was so pale, he was so angry, and for, of course, for obvious reasons. But how do you think this changes Israel from now on?
To my opinion, it changed us 180 degrees. It fell on us as a big surprise. We never imagined that they have so much power. So we need to be much more careful, and we need to restrain the whole Palestinians, not only in Gaza, not only the Nazi Hamas, okay? And it will affect our all relations with every Palestinian in every place in the world, mainly in West Bank, because we would agree already for a Palestinian state. It was a matter of time when and how this official Palestinian state would establish. But now we got back 50 years back.
What a shame. What a shame. They burnt it down. They burnt all hope, as we were reading from an article. And if I can find it, I'll read it again, a little bit of it. Palestine no more. This was a woman whose father is Palestinian and still lived in Gaza, had olive groves. And she said, I'm so glad my father was Palestinian. He has passed on from this world and did not see Hamas burn down any hope of his dream coming to life.
Yeah, and there is another chapter with Hezbollah. It would be the same, and we should know that. Okay, they cooperate. Everything is they are doing it, simultaneously. Everything.
Yeah. Yes.
So we need to know
and
that.
it's such a shame to be getting to this point when we were so close. We were so hopeful. The whole world was watching this conflict from afar and hoping that there would be shalom, there would be salam, there would be shlama. But it is so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can understand
Okay,
the
so
feeling.
I want to kind of switch gears, but kind of stay within, and so people can understand why it was so important. And I think maybe it was a blessing in disguise that we had you on the program tonight, because we wanted to have you on the program. I spoke to you about you have a book out. We're going to talk about your book, but this kind of throws things in a way where we can explain the Jewish nation or the Jewish people have been persecuted for centuries, as have the Assyrians independently. Independently, we both can have similar persecution, as you said, Nazism, terrorism, Ba'athism, whatever governments, Turkism, Ottoman, anywhere we went, the Assyrians and the Jews seem to have a common persecution that links us. Now, you are a Jewish Assyrian, which kind of confuses people, because you are, and I often said we are persecuted for our identity and our faith. And in this case, Assyrian Jews or Jewish Assyrians, I want to dive into, so this is not your first not your first conflict as far as life is concerned. I want to give a brief history so that people can have context of who you are, and then we'll dive into the Assyrian Jewish background. Dr. Yaacov Maoz's father is from Duhok, which is north of Iraq. His mother is from Nohadra. And his mother is from northern Iraq village of Zacho. While consistent of a robust Jewish population until 1951, when virtually all of them migrated to Israel in something called the Operations Nehemiah and Ezra. Now, those that were born prior to 1951, as I had to look that up. It started in the late 1920s, that is the kind of the hostility towards Zionism and the Jewish state. It culminated in the months leading up to November of 1947, which was the partition vote. Violence against Iraqi Jews at that time, it increased. Operation Ezra Nehemiah, with Iraqi Jews enduring oppression and being driven into destitution, the Iraqi Zionist underground began smuggling Jews out of Iraq to Israel starting in November 1948. Jews were smuggled into Iran, of all places, first, and from there proceeded to Israel. And by 1949, the Iraqi Jews underground had become well established despite many deaths, many arrests, many persecutions, and they were smuggling Iraqi Jews out of the country illegally at a rate of 1,000 a month. The fleeing of Jews took money and some possessions with them, and this alone, this capital flight, which is the money flight, harmed the Iraqi economy. And this is where we come to you, Professor, and your family. This is where I find where we can start how your parents came to Israel. And tell us, were you born in Israel or in Iraq?
Okay, let me link this issue to the Palestinian again. In the year, let's get back to the year of 1941.
And I'm so sorry, you're absolutely, I don't mean to interrupt you, but when I said when I was talking about in the 1920, the partition, it was related to the Palestinians. And you're absolutely right. Yes. And there is the link once again.
Yes, okay. So in the year of 41, the Jerusalem Palestinian Mufti, Hajj Amin al-Husseini, had a meeting with Adolf Hitler, the Satan of the world, of the humanity, the Satan of the whole humanity. And then he took a plane and landed in Baghdad and started to incite the Arabs against the Jews, because he was an extension of Adolf Hitler. So in the year of 41, was some clashes and pogrom in the Jews of the land of Assyria, not Iraq, while the I don't know how many exactly, but hundreds of Jews being killed and raped and massacred and burned up. The same mentality of Nazi Hamas. Okay? The Jews of Assyria start to feel uncomfortable in this land. So in the first occasion, they start to move to Israel, but the Arabs of so-called Iraq is a fake state established by the West, by Sykes-Picot Agreement, okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they gain some power from the West, and they start to persecute minorities. One of the minorities were the Jews. And this is the time where my story is beginning, while they deported about 100,000 Jews from the land of Assyria by planes. And then just before they rob their property and their businesses and their money and everything. And in the year of 51, when my parents came to Israel, they came only with the clothes on them, nothing more. Yeah. My sister, born in Baghdad, by the time they start to deport them, and they come to the land of Israel in 51. The bad news is that, Israel was a very poor country by this time, but the cultural trauma that I'm carrying until today is that in Israel they don't appreciate our cultural asset that we get back with our language, the basic language of the humanity. We call it Aramit, you can call it Aramean, you can call it Assyrian or Surid. This is the same language. The same language that is the second language of the Jewish people next to the Hebrew, the holy language. So the Jewish nation established on two languages. One of them is Surid. Okay, this is the main issue that links us to you. Okay, so how come we never met until recently? How come I can talk to you, communicate to you in your language?
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we were off the air. We were talking in Sudith.
Yeah. So how come? Where it's come from? So I'll find out, just before I started in my research, that we are relating to another nation because we are been educated for 70 years that we are Kurds and we belong to the Kurdish nation. So when I found that this is a big false, this is a big lie, I started to change our definition of identity from Jewish Kurds to Jewish Assyrians. Thanks God, it works. Okay, so I established an association, and they have many supporters in Israel, and the Israelis getting to know what is Assyria, because in general speaking, the average Israeli doesn't know what is Assyria. Assyria belongs only to the Bible. Now we can see Assyrians talking to us.
Yes.
It was like a miracle.
It's amazing.
It
It's a phenomenon.
all my life, okay? All my life it changed. So I decided to dedicate the rest of my life, one, to preserve the holy language of Aramit, Surit, Assyrian, whatever you call it, and the second, to build a bridge between the two nations, the twin two nations of Israel and Assyria. This is the mission.
Amen. And it's in Isaiah 19, and that is the prophetic word in the Word of God. So I do want to let people know a little more about your credentials, Professor. You received your academic training principally at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, where you wrote your doctorate on aesthetics in rabbinic thought, which deals for the most part with the Aramaic, as you were saying, Aramaic, in the Talmud and the Midrash. You are currently engaged in research of rabbinic thought, lectures on Judaism and Israeli society, and social activist for the promotion of interfaith dialogue. And this is very important. Dr. Yaacov Maoz works at the Israeli Association of Common Community Center, where he is director for content development and has published festivals in the community. Now listen to this. He is involved, and this is why I see the frustration and the anger in his voice, because this is what he was working on. He's involved in strengthening Jewish pluralism and promoting dialogue between different sectors in Judaism and the connection between Israel and the diaspora, and in developing understanding between Jews and Arabs in Israel. He's led several conferences with his association and the Tikkun movement, the most outstanding of which was the Matraus International Conference, in which Arab colleagues from Morocco and France participated. How will this conflict change your perspective, your mission, and your work to go forward?
Look, I will never give up in promoting of peace between every sector, every nation. This is my duty. I walk only by peace. Okay? So first we need to make peace between peoples. Politics is not my business. So I will go forward with my vision, and I will make as many as I can activities between different people, different identities, different faiths. And by the way, that's what make me so close to the Assyrian Christians, because I have found a new path to make peace with different faith. And immediately I have found many Assyrians that have the same faith of mine with small changes.
Yes.
Okay? With very small changes. Keep in mind, we have the Bible, the Old Testament, shared by the two nations. Okay? Then we slipped a bit. Okay? Now we have, I must tell you that we have, as a Jewish nation, we have some bad experience with Christianity. And I don't need to tell the audience what's happened, at the past. Like, take only one example in Spain in the medieval days, like the Inquisition. Okay.
Yeah.
But we are in an advanced process of reconciliation. And I have a privilege to be part of it. And it's amazing how we feel close to each other, even though we had some clashes and conflicts at the past. Look, the story is beginning about 3,000 years ago. The relation between Israel and Assyria. You can't find another two nations in the world, in the humanity, the whole humanity, that have such a long relations. And they look the same for thousands of years. That should be said. Now, we had some wars between, okay? Assyria was a superpower.
Yeah, that's part of the conversation we were going to have. How are we going to move forward from that? But go ahead. Yes, I hear you.
So the first barrier that I should overcome when I'm going to write such a book, Jerusalem and Nineveh, is to re-understand what's happened in the ancient time. So when I started the research, I have found that the whole picture is different. Yes, we have some wars. Yes, the Assyrian superpower destroyed Israel and took some people, not all of them, to exile. Okay?
Yeah.
But it's not the whole picture. Thanks to the Assyrians, we were able to write the Bible. Nobody knows that. Because they affected the Judean people because they were much more scholar than us. So in a sense, the Assyrian were our teachers. And this is a big reveal that I'm trying to show off in my book.
It is a great revelation. Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah. So unless the writing of the Bible, we have no Jewish nation and we have no even Christianity. And you know what? We have no even Islam, because the whole Quran based on the Bible. Okay? So this is one. The second fact is that we had two kingdoms, Israel and Judea. And those two kingdoms fight each other. And the Judean king invite the Assyrian emperor to defend him. Okay? So the blame is on us. We have invited the Assyrians to involved in our conflict. Now, it's untrue that the Assyrian exiled the whole Jews and Israelis by the time. They exiled only the elite people from the army and from the administration. Okay? And the third, it's that by the time of the Assyrian regime in Israel, Jerusalem doubled 10 times itself by lands and by people. It was a flourishing time in terms of economic and international relations. Keep in mind, the Assyrian ruled the land of Israel for 300 years. Only 10 to 20 years were wars, not more. The rest are peace. And we have a term in the academic community that called Pax Syriaca, which means the Assyrian peace. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to show off in my book. First, to reset our relations in the ancient times. And then I'm trying to get to the modern time and show what we have done together and what we should do together at the future.
Professor, I can go on and on with you. And you just answered a question for me personally, because it made me think back when the Persians took over Babylon and King Cyrus freed the Jews to go back to Israel. The queen, just like with the ancestry of Queen Esther, remained, chose to stay. I've always wondered why they stayed. It was because they enjoyed their life in Babylon, in Assyria.
Yeah, let me share with you another fact. Our Hebrew script is in fact Assyrian script. And we call it, in our tradition, Assyrian script. Now, if you go to next synagogue in Shabbat and ask the rabbi, please open the book of Torah in the ark, and ask him, what script is written in this Torah, the Holy of the Holies? He should say, it's an Assyrian script. This is one. The other fact is that our prophet Jonah, who traveled from the land of Israel to Nineveh to save the Assyrian Nineveh. He is the only prophet that have been sent by God, the God of Israel, to save another nation, the only nation in the whole Bible. Okay?
Wow.
Now we
There's the
have,
link right there.
amazing. Now we read the book of Jonah in all the synagogue of the world, in every Yom Kippur, the most holy day in the Jewish calendar. We read about Nineveh, and Nineveh is our example, the best example for repenting. Therefore, our rabbis during the generations for 2,600 years give much respect to the Assyrian nation, and you can find it in the Talmud and in the Midrash and the all rabbinic books. So it's a big reveal, it will change the world. But people should know that. And my book, Jerusalem and Nineveh, is make this exotic sources to be accessed to the world, to Jews and Assyrians as well.
Yeah. Bchelet Alaha, Professor, your book in English will come out soon. I just do want to let people know. Professor Maoz is a director of Lishana Works. Lishana is an Assyrian Aramaic word for tongue, meaning language. Director of Lishana works to establish a cultural bridge between the Jewish people and the Assyrian people. And I know that recently you had a video on YouTube congratulating the Assyrian people on the occasion of the New Year, which falls on the 1st of Nisan, which is also the Jewish New Year in the Bible. Rishita, which we say Rishita, Reshisheta, in Hebrew is Rosh Hashanah. So we have a video. Same word, but different dialect. It's like we were talking about, of course, the production of this program is through Cinnamon Production. And of course, our great talented magician engineer, Frederick Duman, who's an Assyrian from Iran and who is just telling you, I'm from Iran. And you immediately said, I can tell from Lishanuch. You can tell from his native La'za or maybe the dialect. And so we'd like to go ahead and show this video and we'll come back on the other side. This is a song about the New Year, and you actually are congratulating the Assyrians on their New Year. Let's go ahead and watch.
No
That is so beautiful. I mean, I'm holding myself from crying, but I have a question,
Really.
Professor, from Marlon Daba, who is saying, let me read this. It says, Miqarta Mona, I have a question for Dr. Yaakov, only if it's possible. And of course, yeah, we're asking. Please ask if he is in contact with Professor Khazi
Mutsafi.
Musafi. Okay, I'm sorry. Mutsafi is a professor in Tel Aviv University teaching Assyriology at the university. So, a question from one of our viewers right now.
Well, Khazi Mutsafi is my mentor, and he is one of the, I don't want to say, maybe the first one, the expert number one of Surit and Aramit. And he's been helped me along the way, and I should thank him. And it's important to give him the credit because 5 years ago, when I wanted to do something for our identity, would say our identity group, so I called him and asked him for help, and he corrected me at the very beginning of the call. He said, Yaakov, you are not Kurd, you are Assyrian. And this was the turning point in my life, thanks to him. And,
Wow.
and the whole issue of the relations, the new relations between Assyria and Israel, is thanks to him. So thank you for the question.
Thank you, Marlon. Yes, thank you. That was a great question that actually opened up something great about someone else that we didn't know, that we hope we will know. Professor, how is Israel taking your message? And I know you said you have great supporters right now, but as you move forward, tell me about the continuation. Who is coming? Who is partnering with you? Who are you teaching? How will this work continue? God give you long life, Professor. But who are you handing it over to? What kind of system do you have so that this work continues in Israel and we can all actually share and help you in this? But tell us, how are you progressing to hand it over to the next generation?
Yeah. Well, the first challenge in Israel is to change our definition of identity. If we are thinking that we are Kurds and our language is Kurdish, which is not, it's untrue, we have no any interest to preserve this language. Because in Israel, you can hear about more than 100 languages, because we are an immigration society. Okay, we have no any interest from Jewish perspective to preserve other languages. And what I'm claiming is that this language is Jewish. It belongs to our identity. So this is one. That's what I'm trying to do. Includes the small clip that you have shown a few minutes ago. It's to explain to the Israeli society that we have a new identity and we should know that. The other thing that I'm trying to do is to pass a law in our parliament in order to recognize this language as a second language of the Jewish people. While I do that, I can enter to the curriculum of the kids of Israel and starting teaching them Surit. They should know that there is another language belongs to the Jewish nation, and they don't know. Now, in a sense, the Assyrians are backing us up because they speak Surit daily. We are not. Our language is going to vanish in the coming years. I belong to the last generation that's still able to speak somehow Surit. After this generation, this language will be vanished totally, will
Wow,
erased.
that breaks my heart to hear that.
Yeah. So this is my duty to save something for the next generations. And I'm truly believe in the young generation. And what I'm trying to do is to connect between young Assyrians and young Israelis. Because I, I think they will be much smarter than us. Because my generation is gone. I have some opponents in my, community because they are insisting to be Kurds. And they call this language, they could tell you in Surit, Achnan Kordaye.
That doesn't make sense.
Doesn't
It
make
just
sense.
doesn't make
And
sense.
what do you speak? I speak Kurdish in Surit.
Wow.
كسلان قمري محكن كردي.
Yeah.
Okay? Doesn't make sense. We have the duty to correct it.
Bless
So
your
this is
heart,
on the
Professor.
best. Yeah.
Bless your
And
heart. You know what? The next time I'm in Israel, last time I was in Israel, it was 2017. I didn't know you. And I want to thank my brother-in-law, Ben Warda. I don't know if you met him. You might have
sure.
met him. Ben Warda is my brother-in-law in Chicago. He told me, you must speak to Professor Yaakov. And I said, who? And I want to thank him. This is the greatest gift he could have given me, is to know you. The next time I'm in Israel, you can be sure that we will hang out. It will be for sure that I will come see you. It will be soon. I know that we can talk a lot more about, and you went into the biblical side of some of the, I want to say, maybe resistance that there is between the Jewish and the Assyrian community from Nebuchadnezzar, King Nebuchadnezzar from Babylon, that took the Jews in exile, and of course Sanchiru, Melke Sanchiru, Sennacherib, as the West calls him. But we have to learn to reconcile it, and I'm sure that we can come together and we can try on our end here as Assyrians to come to Israel and to make sure that this language does not die in our sisters and brothers there. And we will make them see that they're not speaking Kurdish, they're speaking Assyrian. Now, I want to, and you said that, I'm going to play a song right now that you said you play every Friday, I believe, every Friday. It's called Shlama Elochon, peace be unto you.
Right.
Shlama Elochon. Yeah, it's an Assyrian Hebrew song, but if you hear them singing, you can't tell the difference in the dialect. It's an Assyrian Hebrew song sang by Medlin Ishova, who is a Russian Assyrian, very well-known artist, singer, and Liat Itzhaki, a singer and Ishaki, composer from Israel. And again, the song is Shlama Elochon. It's going to be one of my favorite. I know it's going on my registry to listen to it. So this song was produced by Professor Yaacov Maoz. And let's go ahead and hear it.
Shlama Allahum malachet ishmishta malachet laya من ملكة دمالكت كل ملكة قديشة وبريخة شلama Allahum malachet shlama malachet laya من ملكة دمالكت كل ملكة قديشة وبريخة
בואכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך
עקידו בשלמה מלאכת שלמה מלאכת ליה من ملكة ملكت كل ملكة قديش بريخة בחורי בשלמה מלאכת שלמה מלאכת ליה من ملكة ملكت كل ملكة قديش بريخة
ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך עשיתון בשלמה מלאכי שלמה מלאכי ליה الملكة ملكت كل ملكة قديشة بريخة
سفر الشلom ملأخي الشلom ملأخي اليوم ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך
צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא
שבריך
הקדוש
That is an amazing, amazing song.
Wow. Yeah.
بس ما قام
I feel moved.
خيط.
Basim
Yeah,
Tazesti.
beautiful. Oh my God.
This video show
And it
at least
it was produced in Israel, right? This was in
No.
Israel.
no,
No?
it's part of it in Moscow and the other
Wow.
part in Jaffa.
Wow.
Okay, and this video is an amazing example for showing us that we able to produce a culture, a new culture. I mean, Assyrian Jews, and then it makes us feel that we are so close because we can see the same language, and this is not Surit. The other part is in Hebrew. Okay? And we we can see how the Suet is close to Hebrew.
Absolutely. If someone doesn't speak either language, will think that they're singing in the same language, and they are
Yeah,
derived from one another.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. Professor, there is a picture I want to show. Fred, if we can get the picture of the passport, I want you to tell me what. This is a fun picture. This State of Osho
Yes,
passport. Tell us
yes.
about this.
Well, I had an idea. You know, it must be said that I became a great umtanaya. So one of my vision is to reestablish the state of Ashur in the land of Ashur in our days. We have not the power in this time, but we must maintain this idea daily. And I'm trying to convince Assyrians to get back to their country and to re-establish the state of Assyria. This photo is on the Knesset.
In front of the Knesset,
The
right?
Yes, the Israeli parliament, while trying to build a lobby for Assyria and for our
Wow.
language. Yeah, and
Beautiful.
the passport footage is belongs to my son, Jonathan Maoz. He's an expert for video and movies and so on. So he did it, and this is our small contribution to maintain the idea of establishing the state of Israel. This photo was the background of my book launch in Hebrew. So you can see I'm trying to show off as much as I can the Assyrian letters and the Assyrian
And for
script.
those that don't keep the picture up if you don't mind, bring it back, Fred. I wanna point out the top letters are Hebrew, the bottom ones or the middle ones are actually Aramaic Assyrian. But again, just like with the song, if you didn't know the language, you would think they were the same. They look so much
Sorry?
the same. I said, if you didn't speak or read or write the language, you would think that the letters are almost identical. They're almost the same.
Yeah, yeah. You can see the Aleph. Aleph is almost the same. And
Yeah,
I can show you, yes, and mem is the same. Okay?
yeah,
We can find Daled is the same.
yeah.
Um, and then you can see the archaeological monument that we have found here in Israel,
Yeah,
in Lachish. Yeah.
yeah. Let's talk about your book. I know we referenced it. We want to talk, and that's the conversation that got me to get to know you. From Jerusalem to Nineveh. For the first time, as it says, for the first time in history, a Jew reveals the true story of the relationship between Assyria and Israel. The book Jerusalem and Nineveh presents several historical, linguistic, cultural, and religious facts that could connect the Assyrian people with the Jewish people. Now, the author is trying to raise funds for the publication of the English version of the book and its distribution in English-speaking Jewish and Assyrian communities. This is the time to commemorate yourself as one of the book's contributors. Long live Assyria, long live Israel. And I want to encourage people to go to the YouTube channel, which is basically called Lishana, exactly like it sounds, Lishana. Lishana, which is the videos, and if you put that on there, you'll excuse me, you will go into the. But more importantly, Dr. Yaakov is on Facebook, and he's open to Messenger. So if you'd like to help him out, If you'd like to contribute and if you'd like to be a partner to this great this undertaking, a huge mission, really a commission to continue with this project, please do. He's on Facebook. It's exactly like you see his name. If you can put his name up again, Fred, so that people can see how they can spell his name. That's exactly how it is on Facebook. You can connect with him on social media, and please do that. Now, we have a video. I don't know if we should show the video or just have you. I think it's better to just have you talk about it, because I know we have a video which is on YouTube that says chapter 1 is about chapter 2.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of give us a synopsis, what is the book about? And I know we have a picture of the book, don't we, Fred?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there it is. But let me see if we have a picture of the book. If not, you can go ahead and show it, Professor.
If not, this is the book. Okay.
Yeah.
It's contained 270 pages with 13 chapters. I can show you at the very beginning my ancestors, and I'm dedicating the whole book to my grandma, Hannah Nahum. Yeah.
That's where the Nahum comes from. Yeah.
Right. And we used to call her Yimmi Hanne. Okay. And this is my mother, Najia. This is my father. He has an Arabic name, Subhi. And then my grandpa Sasson and my grandpa Shabu.
They're all Assyrian names, with the exception of your father's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my God.
I
So,
must say that I have a long list here of donors. All of them are
Donors.
Assyrians. All of them are private donors, Assyrians. So thanks to them, and there are many, I can't count them now. Thanks to them, this book is published.
you don't have a website. I know we were going to have a website, but in about 3 months, you said you're going to have the website, because I'd like to drive people and I'd like to encourage people to go to your website for the upcoming book, the English version.
Yeah. You know, I need some money support in order to fulfill my dream. Okay, so let's just start by I first opening the book with my personal story, who I am and where I come from, and why should I engage in such a topic. It is
Okay.
totally new for the Israeli society. Okay, but now after 5 years, many people are calling me Yaakov Ashuri. Yaakov the
I love
Assyrian.
it. Professor Ashuri.
Yes, you know, everywhere they know that I'm Assyrian. Okay, everywhere, and
Wow.
you know I'm a commentator in the Israeli media, so I'm always mentioning this fact. Always.
Wow.
So
Spoken like a true Assyrian. I do that on this show all day long.
you know, chapter 2 is dealing with the biblical story and redefining what's going on in the Bible and changing the picture and showing many new facts on the relations between Assyria and Israel at the ancient time. Chapter 3 is dealing with the prophecy we have two main prophets, Yonah Nuiya, Jonah the
Jonah,
prophet, and then Isaiah.
Isaiah,
Okay,
Ishaya, and Uya.
so Isaiah is giving me much power, and the verses from chapter 19 is it's only one prophecy from many others, and I'm trying to show them up. Okay. Then what I'm trying to show in this book is that the Aramean, Surit, Assyrian is the same language. And it's important to mention why I use the Hebrew form of the name of the language, Aramit, because I know there is some tension between Arameans, Assyrians, Chaldeans, Syriac, and so on. And I'm trying to keep me out of this dispute as a peacemaker.
Very
So,
smart man. Very smart man.
and people are telling me, why don't you call it Assyrian? I said, open the Bible and see how the Bible called this language. Okay, and the other people from the Arameans are asking me, why don't you call it Aramaic? Why you call it Aramaic? Again, open the Bible. I have references.
Yeah.
Okay, it's important to link between the two languages and to give respect to each of the titles. Okay, and it works, thanks God. You know, most of the Assyrians that know me know that I call this language Aramit. Then what I'm trying to show off in my book is that the central place of the notion Ashur in the Jewish theology. Again, you can't find any other image from other nations but Israel. Yes, you can't find but the Ashur. And as I said before, the rabbis during the generations give much respect to Ashur. Ashur, the founder of the Assyrian Empire. Okay? Then what I'm trying to convince the audience is that we should call this piece of land between the rivers, we should call it Assyria. Not Iraq, not Kurdistan, not Turkey, not Syria, not Iran. This piece of land should be called Assyria. And every time and then, when people are asking me where you come from, I said, from Assyria. What language do you speak? Aramit. And it start works. Okay? The other chapter 9, is trying to change our identity. The definition, I mean, from Kurds to Assyrians. Then in chapter 10, I'm trying to show off the crimes against Jews by the Kurdish chieftains during the generations.
So
Because
you've
there is
gotten all that. Yeah.
there is a fantasy in Israel that the Kurds are the best people in the world. It's another lie. So they are persecuted us. they raped us, they kidnapped Jewish girls. Up to now, you can find descendants of the Jewish girls in the land of Assyria,
Yeah,
the so-called
there are
Kurdistan.
remnants. Yes, yes, there are remnants of the Jewish nation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then I'm dedicating chapter 11 to the Assyrian genocide. And what I'm trying to do is not only, I'm not a researcher of the of the Assyrian genocide. What I'm trying to do is to collect Israeli research on this issue. Okay? This is a Jewish book, even though it speaks about Assyria. What I'm trying to show again and again is that deep inside of the Israeli culture and the Jewish culture, you can find Assyria. So Assyria, in a sense, is a Jewish notion, is a Jewish concept in our history, in our religion, and so on. What else? Then I'm coming to the present, and I'm trying to describe the present relations that I have with the Assyrians, and I have many, thanks God.
Yeah.
Okay,
And now you've added more.
at least one more.
And two more, Fred. And
And
the audience
yeah,
that's watching right now. Yeah.
yeah,
More.
thank you. But it's going through you, and the last thing is the my vision. And my vision is, let me tell you, it's clear cut. One is to erect a monument for the Assyrian genocide in Jerusalem.
Wow. That
So,
would be amazing. That would be unbelievable.
and hold ceremonies in Reshita, the New Year,
Rosh Hashanah.
the common New Year, by the way, in Shoab Tabach, in the Yom Tzada, for the Assyrian genocide, and for many other Christmas and so on, and then to let Assyrians, pilgrims that are coming here, many Assyrian pilgrims, to hold a ceremony in this. This is the the Jerusalem wall that I put it only by Photoshop. The idea
That's
of
beautiful.
so,
Yeah, that's very good.
as a matter of fact, I have started the whole activity by a ceremony in Jerusalem in 2019, the ceremony of the Shoah Tabach, 7th August, in Jerusalem. And you know where?
So that's
In a very
very good.
symbolic place. In a very symbolic place in the Greek community in Jerusalem.
There's the book.
Now,
I know we had the
yes,
picture of it. There it is. Right next to, even though, like you said, it's a Jewish book, but here's the connection with the Assyrian. You know, Professor, there is an awakening happening because the prophecy must be fulfilled in Isaiah. There is, and you said the connection, and we are more connected than we know. And I know that you've had a very brief conversation with someone that we work with and we know, Dr. Ron Susek, who's written a book called The Assyrian Prophecy. And in the book, and he goes around and speaks about it, and he is revolutionizing really the Christian side of the faith by saying that Abraham was an Assyrian. And when people are hearing that, when the evangelicals, really the evangelical denomination of the Christian faith, is hearing that, is saying, how can you say that? And he takes them back to, where did the first Hebrew originate? And that was from Ur of the Chaldeans, Ur in Babylon, Ur. And of course, he was called Hebrew. It was it's a verb, it's an action word, where abara, as in he transitioned from here to there. So it's a description of what happened to Abraham going from Ur. And please comment on that. What do you think about that? So the connection in blood is there with the Jewish people and the Assyrians.
There is no doubt that we came from between the rivers. There is no doubt. And the better example is not Abraham, is Jacob, Yaakov. Because he, in a sense, he established the Jewish nation.
Yeah.
And he went to Aram Naharaim. Okay, he escaped, by the way, to Aram Naharaim. He got married to 4 women. And then he had 11 children, all of them Aramaic speakers. Okay, so Dr. Ron Susik completely right, and even the Hebrew, the concept of Hebrew, is from the word abar, past.
Abar. Yeah.
Okay.
Pass through.
And
yeah.
in the Bible,
and it's the same in Hebrew, Assyrian, and in Arabic.
Yeah, and in the Bible,
Yes.
they call, I mean, the nations call Abraham Ha'ivri, Abraham the Ivri, the Hebrew, because he crossed the river, the Euphrates, in order to come to the land of Israel.
Exactly.
So
to create a nation.
we have many
And that is
connections.
why there is a link, blood relations, language that, as you said, the Assyrians have always stood with Israel, because we are one. We are one nation, and our language is the same, our culture is the same, we are inseparable. And so, again, I wish we had met under different circumstances, but I'm sure the bridge from Jerusalem to Nineveh has opened enough so that we will have more programs, b'chelet alaha, God willing, and that when your website is up, we will have you back. And any help that we can give from this end, we will continue to extend the help, the hand of help, anytime you need us. As I mentioned to you, I'm very small writer, but whatever it is that you need in the translation or in writing the book, please let me know, and we can try to do what we can
Wow.
from this.
Thank you. You're very generous. Thank you so much. And I would meet with you, I hope, in the coming months. And my plan is to come to a book launch in the English version, and to make a tour to North America. And it would be a great event to me. And, you know, since the pandemic, I stopped the whole visits to the Assyrian communities. So now I need to renew it, and it would be
and we will definitely. If you come to America, I will make if you don't come to the state I live in, I will make sure to come to one that you are in, you know, and I will make sure to come and see you there, because I'm not going to miss an opportunity.
The idea. Yes, let me accomplish the idea that my vision is to hand a copy of the book in order to get a donation for the Assyrian genocide monument. This is the idea. So I'm with my book, I'm trying to do the next step, and right after the erecting of this monument, I will try to pass a law in the Knesset in order to recognize the Assyrian genocide
Wow.
by the
Wow.
by the state of Israel. So this is my vision. This is a dream. It will take time, and I need support for that. And one of the way to have a support is to send politicians from your country or from other countries, from America, from Europe, from Australia, to meet with Israeli politicians, because as you well know that America had a huge influence on Israel. So maybe America can affect the Israeli political system to do that.
Yes, absolutely. That is, we need to get organized though, Professor. We need to have an
Yes.
organized front. We cannot, I mean, those that are hearing your voice right now can take it upon themselves to do that, but I think it needs to be collective, organized, and it needs to be, as we say, with one heart and one accord, rather than each one just to be able to sit with politicians to make a name for themselves. Because this is why the Assyrians are where we are today, because of the infighting, because of the different names and the different leadership, and as you mentioned a few of them, if you're not an Assyrian, you're a Chaldean. If you're not Chaldean, so we need to come to terms with that and come together and unite our cause, unite our voice, and unite our movements. So hopefully that will happen, and maybe now is the time, because God is raising such individuals with the passion that you have, with the passion of, I mean, you have the blood of the Assyrian. The amazing part is to see people like Dr. Ron Susek, who is completely from the Western side, has probably, I can't say probably not, but I don't know if he has any Middle Eastern or Semitic blood. You and I have Semitic blood, but he doesn't. And yet he feels for the Assyrians with the same kind of passion that you and I do. We're going to have him on the program in the next few weeks, actually, to talk about subject very close on his heart. But I think it is time that Assyria rises again. And I do want to thank you. God bless you. God bless your son, Jonathan. I didn't even know you had a son, but thank you to all the work he does in the back. Yeah. Thank you for your commitment.
Thank you very much. And for being, this is a honorable platform, and it was a great pleasure to talk to you. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Chaya Atur, Chaya Israel.
Chaya Atur, Chaya Israel, for sure. Hautraba Basima Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. I know we took much time.
Shalom.
It is Saturday. It is Saturday by you. May you have a blessed Shabbat. And may we see you again soon. May God bless you, protect you, and increase you in the name, I'm going to say in the name of Jesus, our Lord. But I know that we have similar faith, and we have similar guidance of God and His Spirit. So I want to thank you once again. And until the next time, Shalom.
Hawitan Basime, Shabbat Shalom.
We love you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Until we see you next Thursday with another episode of the Monique Show, we leave you with Shlama.
ملحت الغاية من ملكة دملكت كل ملكة ملكة قديشة بريخة شلامة لهم ملكة شلامة ملكة الغاية من ملكة ملكة كل ملكة قديشة بريخة
רוחם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך, מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך
הכיתוב בשלמה מלאכת שלמה מלאכת הוויה מן מלכת מלכת כל מלכת קדישה בריחה בחורי בשלמה מלאכת שלמה מלאכת הוויה מן מלכה מלכת כל מלכת קדישה בריחה
ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הזיתון בשלמה, מלאכי שלמה, מלאכי הוויה מלכה מלכת כל מלכת קדישה בריחה ספר לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא
שברית
הקדוש
America Fest. So we are very honored to be here. We're going to be covering it. It's a summit that's going to take place for the next 4 days.